Well, we want to thank you all for the latest podcast of the Denny Artachi Show. I have a very special guest, so happy to have her here. And I want to remind you that you can catch this show on Spotify, iHeart, Apple, Amazon, Pandora, and I have a YouTube channel as well. You know, we try and talk about different people, and Julie here has been a friend of mine on Facebook. She really inspired me because she went through something that we never want to hear, folks, and those three words: you have cancer. And so Julie had this, what was it, 5 years ago that you had it?
It was 2016.
Okay.
So I've been 5 years cancer free, but it was exactly 6 years ago this
Wow.
month.
You know, you posted those pictures, you had lost all your hair. When it happened to you, I know you have kids, right? And in fact, they're grown up by now. I know it was hard on them. Were you married at the time? Were you single dealing with this?
I was single. I had
Okay.
been divorced a few years, and I was a mom. I'm a mom, single mom still.
Single mom. That's
a single
a
mom.
tough. Yes.
Yeah, and I had my twins were sixth grade at the time, and my oldest was in eighth grade, so 11
Okay.
and 13. So
So,
busy.
how did you know that you had it? Was it from a physical or?
Well, I have breast cancer in my family, so it's something
Okay.
that I had been doing the mammograms and the self-checks from age 40.
So you did it every year?
I did it every year, but there was a gap. Life gets busy, so at 42, I did not. I skipped
Really?
that year, and in February of 2016, I was 43. It was Super Bowl. You know, I'm a huge football fan. So it was Super Bowl 50, and grilling out, had friends over, and went in, got out of the shower, put on a jersey, and when I was getting dressed, I noticed in the mirror that there was a little, asymmetry, and I thought, well, this is kind of strange. So didn't think much about it. Got dressed, went out, and we grilled and did everything. And that night after the game, came back in and got changed for bed. And I thought, this something doesn't look right.
Sure.
And
Sure.
taking a self-check, I felt a pretty sizable mass. So it was
So you didn't.
eye-opening.
You felt okay. But you just noticed, and
I
you
felt
had
fine.
skipped. For those of you listening, please.
This is
Every year.
huge.
So your doctor basically said to you, "Hey, if you would have done your regular screening, we would have caught it."
Most likely could have picked it up a year sooner had I
Okay.
been more vigilant. So, I completely dropped the ball, and that's one huge takeaway. If you know you have family history, if you know that there's a possibility,
Yeah.
just push yourself to go get that screening done.
And you look so
So-
healthy. You pretty much eat a good diet. You like to exercise. It's not like you're a smoker.
No smoking. I'm not really a drinker at all, not even really socially. So there were no signs that would have led me to believe, I wasn't well, wasn't healthy. So it was just that moment.
I don't
So-
understand. I swear that they're. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, but they must be messing with the food. I told you when you agreed to come on the show that I wanted you to talk to others who are in the same position that you were, because I know 4 people going through stage cancer, or some in stage 4, some in stage 2,
Right.
and they're all breast cancer. What are they doing to our food? My God, these are young women in their 40s.
Right.
Getting
And-
breast cancer.
And that's the scary thing. And I had, family history on my mother's side.
So she had breast cancer.
Well, my grandmother and my
Okay.
great aunt. So my
Okay.
logical conclusion was it must be genetic. And
Okay.
one of the first things they did is whisk me in to have genetic testing, have the blood work, and have all of the genetic testing done for the BRCA genes and for anything else. There was nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing.
So they tell you, you obviously you felt the mass. You went in for a checkup.
Mm-hmm.
They do all the tests, and a week or 2 later they tell you the good news.
Yeah. No, it was actually within a day. So Super Bowl Sunday, February 7th, I was in for an appointment to have a mammogram done on the 9th, 2 days
Okay.
later. They called me on Wednesday and said,
You've
you
got
know,
cancer, yeah.
this looks really suspicious, and we need you to go in and talk with a general surgeon and have a biopsy to figure out what's
So
going on.
you didn't know you had cancer at
So
that
I didn't
point.
know,
Okay.
and of course you read it, and I go,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, this doesn't sound good. And everybody says, well, it's okay. You don't know. It could be nothing. It could absolutely be nothing. And they were correct, but I did go through the steps and did the biopsy, and within a week, yeah. So.
I told you in private that I can be as bold and brave as I think I am. I would probably break down like a baby if I was given a diagnosis. So anyone that I've ever, friends or family that have had cancer, I always made it a point to not say anything stupid like, oh dear, it's going to be fine. You're going to get through this. And you're like, shut up. you have no idea what I'm going. I know they mean well, but that's probably what you don't want to hear when you're in that situation, right? I mean,
It is and it isn't, because I will say that you will learn when you go through a process like this of being so grateful for
Yeah.
the support that you have, and it doesn't matter what they say, because people don't know.
They don't.
You don't
Yeah.
know until you've dealt with it yourself. And you struggle. It's an awkward conversation. What do I say? I'm
Right.
so
I
sorry.
don't know what
I'm here if you need something.
Right.
I had friends that said, oh, but you're going to get a great set of new breasts out of this.
They did not
and
say
they
that.
did. And I thought, wow,
said that with a
this
straight
is
face.
really, I'm 43. Is there something wrong with me before? I don't know. I liked myself before. So, but this is people saying, okay, well, here's the way you look at that. And I'm thinking,
Right.
okay, that might be someone's silver lining. It really wasn't my silver lining, but they meant well. No one has malicious intent when they say these things.
I would.
They don't.
What do
They
you
really
say?
don't.
That's why I try and minimize what I say, because I don't want to say anything stupid, because I don't know what that's like. If I had it, I would say, hey, you know what, Julie, I went through it, and let me tell you what I did, because I also, as hard as it is, it's got to be very important that you have the right mindset when you go through this.
It is.
You can't
I
have
think
a
that's a big
defeatist
part. No, I think
attitude.
that's the biggest takeaway. I think is to have a positive attitude, but that's across the board.
Yeah.
And and I think it's okay to have your days where you don't feel well and you go through that motion too, because there were plenty of days where I just not feeling defeated, but
Yeah.
just didn't feel well.
It was hard to get up, right?
And you have to recognize that too and say, it's okay, I can have a day like that. But rather than to harbor over these things that I can't control, okay, what can I do though? I can go sit outside even if I'm not feeling well. I can go sit in the hammock or a rocking chair. I can listen
Yeah.
to the wind chimes. I can read a book, put on some music, something that is soul soothing in that moment.
To maybe get your mind off
Just
of
to
it.
kind of a little escape. Doesn't mean you have to get in the car and drive somewhere or engage. You just have to,
If someone gets this diagnosis,
Hmm.
I would think most of them, the first thing they want to do is maybe go into the internet and find out as much information as you can, right? And maybe get a
Mm-hmm.
second, third, fourth opinion. Is that what you did when they told you? I mean, did you say, well, that's great, but I'm going to see another doctor and see what they say?
right? I did. I mean, I'm a very type A personality. So for me, it was I want to get all the information. Then
Yeah.
I want to plan out. What am I going to be doing? When is it going to happen? Who do I need to take care of my kids? What is this going to look like
Right.
for me? But I researched it. In my case, the HER2 positive has a very good prognosis
Okay.
with treatment. A lot of drugs out there and medication to shrink the tumor. I did opt to have the double mastectomy because it was advisable after the chemo. They did chemo first.
So that
in
was
mine.
the first thing you did is
First
many rounds
thing
of
was
chemo?
6 rounds of chemo,
Okay.
and then I still had to do another medication for an additional 6 months through IV after chemo stopped. So it was a lengthy process. This really went on over the course of probably 2.5 years. It was a lengthy process.
But you never did radiation.
I did not. Thankfully, I did not have to do the radiation.
Well, when do they decide that you need radiation besides the chemo?
It's very much depends on the type of breast cancer that you have. And, mine, they were able to give me a tumor shrinking drug along with the chemo, and it shrank it. It worked incredibly well.
Really? What drug was that, in case someone's listening?
It's called Herceptin.
Okay.
Herceptin and Perjeta were the two medications that helped with that.
Okay.
But I had a really great group of clinical staff that I trusted. I had a surgeon that I absolutely thought the world of. And if anybody's looking for a general surgeon or someone specifically in breast cancer, he was amazing. And I can tell you, I put my everything into his hands because I felt so strongly.
You felt that comfortable. Now, folks, if you are listening, I don't want to have Julie's number, but call my office line, 561-537-5897. The number again, 561-537-5897. Julie, is so wonderful to do this because this is a very personal thing that you went through. And my God, I remember you posted the pictures of where you were bald. You were still beautiful. She's a beautiful lady, folks, inside and out. She's a Christian lady. And you're also in the medical field, are you not?
I am. Yes, I do. I've been in the medical field since I was 20, so
does it make it harder because you're in the medical field dealing with this?
In some aspects, yes, but in other ways, it's much easier because I do see we see a lot of patients who struggle with, do I move forward with finding out and investigating, or do I just kind of put my head in the sand and go, oh, let me see what it's going to be like in 6 months? And it really is better to just move forward. And if you're not happy, I would say do not wait. Seek medical attention if you're not happy with the team that's helping you.
Okay.
Because I did experience that as well with my chemotherapy group. I loved the group, but the particular physician that I was with initially, I just thought, I'm not on the same page.
Right.
This person seems incredibly busy, and I feel like I'm just a number. And I went to someone else. I grappled with it because I don't like to rock the boat, but I did seek out someone else in the group, and it couldn't have been a better experience. So you have to be your own advocate. You absolutely have to be your own advocate. And you know what you're feeling.
Yeah, I would want, if I'm in that position, I definitely don't want to feel like a number. I want a doctor to answer my questions.
This is your livelihood. Yeah. It's your health. It's your well-being. This is how you're moving forward probably for the next 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, 2 years. So it's very important that you're comfortable with
So how long do they tell you, hey, we've confirmed it, it's cancer? They say immediately you should start your round of chemos, right?
When I had the biopsy done and it came back with that the pathology report the following week, I found this lump on the 7th of February.
Yes.
March 4th, they placed the port under the skin to give the medication, and I had started by the 7th of March, chemotherapy. So it was a matter of 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, really.
Okay.
Very quickly.
Did you follow a certain diet that you think helped?
I can tell you, for me personally, with chemotherapy, nothing tasted good. I struggled. My diet was milk, ginger ale when I didn't feel well, and mashed potatoes. I can just be honest, I didn't do well. I did not do well.
My dad, I lost him to leukemia, and I remember it was just terrible that he just had no sense of taste. And he's like,
it's awful.
Why do I don't even want to eat.
It's awful.
But you have to force yourself.
You do. I had my mom, fortunate for me, my mom was able to come and stay with me for a week around my chemo treatments, because usually the day and the day after a treatment, I did fine. I would spend 7 hours on a Friday being infused. I would go home, I would rest, and then fine on Saturday, and then by Sunday, I would start to feel nauseous. But my mom was there and would encourage me.
So a couple of days later,
it would usually hit 72 hours, 48 to 72 hours later. And then it would be a 5-day window of really not feeling great. It would be ups and downs.
Because you're killing healthy tissue as well.
Absolutely. I lost 7 pounds the first week after chemo because I didn't eat anything. I just couldn't even force myself to eat anything. It was rough. It was really rough. But I did gain momentum afterwards. So it does come back around. It does, because your body tends to adjust to it. You know, after that first dose, second dose, you go, okay, all right, this is what's to be expected.
Yeah.
You learn what you can tolerate, little bits, you know, and I say whatever you can eat. I mean, I don't know. I've had family members that have gone the extreme and they'll eat wheatgrass only. They've cut out every bit of sugar.
Right, because sugar supposedly is very bad for cancer. Also, I think anti-inflammatory type of diets are good for recovery. Less animal protein and fat. Right. But again, my God, if you don't taste anything, people complain about COVID that they lost their taste.
That's right.
And this is nothing like this at all. And so, I think that most people would want at least some chat lines to talk to someone. And it probably has to be someone besides your family and your friends, so that someone could have a neutral ear and listen to you.
Yes.
Because, your family and friends were so emotionally attached to it.
It definitely, and I would encourage that. And I do think that your team of medical professionals are a great resource for that.
Okay.
There's also a lot of forums online where you can reach out and talk. And I met other cancer survivors through my process. My very first treatment, I chose a window seat, on the second floor, and I thought, well, this is pretty. I have to be here 7 hours. It's a beautiful window, and there's oak trees. So I sat on the back side by myself. Everyone else was sort of in the center aisles getting their chemotherapy, and I thought, oh, all right, well, it's not unlike me to go against the grain. So I sat on the outside, and I had this phenomenal individual walks around the corner, and this is me thinking, God just always has a plan. He just does. And this gentleman walks around the corner and he says, all right, you've got a University of Florida Gators, zip down hoodie. I'm sitting next to you.
That's great.
He was an attorney from Stuart, Florida, which is where I was born.
So he was going through cancer treatment.
He was going through treatment as well. And we became cancer buddies every single session. And it helped me so much get through that really tough time. I really struggled navigating. So anybody that you can sort of make a connection with on any level is helpful.
It would seem like it would be so easy for to say, poor me. Oh, God, how could you let this happen to me? It's not fair. And you're a lady of faith. Is that what really got you through it?
I definitely have a strong base in faith. It's just it's just part of my core values. And it's what I do. I pray, I think, I listen, and I do believe that there are outside powers of being, and it is very important to me. So I gravitate to that.
I told you I spoke to Ellen, who's a Reiki healer, very spiritual lady, and it's true, the power of God. But it's so hard when something like this happens. You do start questioning. You do feel it's natural to feel sorry for yourself. So what do? You reach out with some forums, try and get some neutral parties. The pictures, oh my God, when you posted them on Facebook when you're bald, and you're smiling in them. You're still like, we all would like to be that way, but until it happens to us, how do we know? I mean, there must have been times where even though you had faith and everything, you were like, oh my God, this may not work out. But for my family, I've got to be strong. Yeah. I know when my dad was going through his worst time, I don't want to get emotional.
It's tough. It's a very tough. Emotional.
I had to walk outside of the room and cry because I said I cannot cry in front of him. I've got to be his rock. I've got to be, and I never said anything stupid like, "Oh, Dad, you're going to be fine." Right. I was just like, I know you feel like shit, Dad. Let's get through today.
Keep
I
it
love
together.
you so much.
Yeah.
And I had to step outside to cry in private because I wanted to be the rock for him. And so, a few of my friends that I've seen go through this, it was the same thing. I don't want to say anything stupid. A lot of times people just want someone to listen to them. You don't even have to say anything.
Yeah.
And I think if you're out there listening, folks, and you're going through this, help is out there. There are a lot of resources. And unfortunately, I really believe they're doing something to our food and environment because cancer is just out of control. We don't talk about it because we're focusing on, and you're the last couple of years you've been blasted with this COVID thing because you work in urgent care.
So a lot of these things have been overshadowed, and we don't talk about them. They're not at the forefront as much anymore. But it is incredibly important to get your screenings and to stay on top of it.
It really is.
And if something doesn't feel right or look right, and it doesn't matter whether it's breast cancer or any other type, you know your body. If something seems off, absolutely investigate it for sure. And just like you said, being there and being open, having somebody to talk to, it's incredibly important. And I'm available. You can always reach out to Denny.
I don't want to give your number because there'll be some guys looking at this going, hey, I wonder what she's doing for dinner later on.
But you can certainly reach out to Denny. I am more than happy because I've spoken to a lot of people because I had a lot of women that had gone through it and were
and they really helped
They
you.
were helpful to me.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's a whole thing. It changes everything.
Everything.
It shakes you to the core. Trust me. And I thought I was a pretty, solid person. I felt good about myself. I was not this person who, would shrink away or shy away from situations. And you go through this and you go, wow, I've lost my hair. I've lost my eyelashes. And as much as I would love to say that doesn't define me, that's a huge part of your identity. And so I would get up in the morning and go,
oh my God.
I feel sick because I look in the mirror and what I see is a bald person. And to me, it made me feel sick. Even if I was feeling okay, that image was like, this is what you associate with someone who's struggling and not well. And that was another thing. I went out and I was very fortunate to have a hairdresser, a hairstylist that was so good with me before I lost my hair, which was about 9 days after my first chemo.
It happened that fast?
That fast. I mean, it was coming out in clumps. And I was so thankful that I was on the preemptive side of things and I had picked out a wig. I had already had that in a box, and I didn't have long. I only had a month. So between being diagnosed and really everything happened quickly. But call a girlfriend or, your mom or anyone who will go with you and say, hey, tell me what you think about this. Style, get something that makes you feel like there's a sense of normalcy when that happens, because it was rough. That day, that picture that I posted of being bald was the day that my head had been shaved, and it was on a Sunday. I went in to my stylist who did it on a Sunday. You
were the prettiest bald person I've ever seen on Facebook.
You're too kind.
I'm not
you're
kind.
Too
you
kind.
Still had your eyes, and
you're too kind.
What made you also beautiful is you putting it out there and saying, listen, if it happens to you, you can get through this because I've been through it. And that brings me to another point. Every cancer survivor that I'm grateful to talk to, boy, you really don't sweat the small stuff anymore after going through that crap, do you?
You don't. We talked about that. I came in and I realized, it's raining and it's 90 degrees out and 95% humidity, and I forgot a brush and my hair's kind of frizzy. You know what?
Cares?
These are little things. These are little things. The traffic, the line at the grocery store.
Yeah.
It's you don't think about those things like that anymore.
I'm a flawed man. I mean, as smart as I think I am, I remind myself how stupid I can be with certain things. And, you had to also be strong for your kids. I mean, you probably had to cry in private as well. Because you didn't want them to see, oh, my God, Mom, she's afraid.
That's it.
And you had to put on that face of like, no, I'm good, that's why
You're going to make me cry.
I don't want to make you cry, because
No, but
I want, the impactful of this. Thank you so much. I always know you as a deep thinker. When you motivated me a couple years ago, I sent you my book.
You did.
And I sent you a CD that I sang Sinatra for my dad. See, because life is about crying and meeting people that inspire you.
And sharing
and have a
things.
life of service.
Yes, I agree.
That's what life is all about. It ain't about, let me make as much money as I can and be an arrogant star.
That's right.
And it's about...
It's about the real connections, the genuine, because we do all have these things to share.
If someone else has been through it, then maybe I could. And I'm hoping that someone listening to this podcast will take away that, okay, now I understand what she's saying because I'm feeling this. And also, if you don't have cancer, please do not skip the screenings. I see my doctor every year, and I go through the screenings, and I'm not due for my next colonoscopy for another 4 years or 5. Yes, that's always a great procedure, right? And I go, man, with technology, you can't figure it out any better. You can't stick a camera on me or something. Nope, this is the best way to do it.
Can't just do the X-ray and right through. Can't you just see it all?
Right?
I know.
And so, so 5 years ago, so you went into remission, 4 years ago, 5 years ago?
Just about 5 years ago. Yeah, just about 5 years ago, which was good. And I still go every 4 months. I still have blood work done. In 6 months
be sure,
I have.
Yes.
That's where I am currently. Hopefully it'll stretch out to a year at some point, but right now it's still in every 4 to 5 months. It's blood work and bone density scan because of a medication that I take to suppress the estrogen, which is what fed the tumor to begin with. So, again, just one more thing, but it makes your bones very fragile.
So do you have to follow a diet because of that?
So I do, and I have to take calcium and lots of, So, it's a whole change of everything. Your whole life really does feel like it's been changed, from your physical, what you see in the mirror, the scars, everything. And it goes deeper than just that. So it's a lot. And as much as it was about me at 43, I had relationships moving forward. I know friends that were married, or in relationships, and their partners also suffer with this because they don't know how to respond and how to be supportive and how to back away and what's too much and what's not enough. And it's a lot. So I really would encourage not just people who are going through the cancer, but their support system as well, especially a spouse or someone.
It's got to be easy to be angry because again, oh my God, I'm a good person. How could this be happening to me?
Right.
And it's got to be normal to feel that way.
Right.
So it's only a person that is extraordinary to not be that way.
Right. It's tough, and you have to feel all the emotions because I think they all come. I can remember after the mastectomy, about a week, well, maybe not quite a week later, but about 4 days later, and taking off the bandages, and my mom was in the bathroom with me helping, and I hadn't taken a shower yet, and it was like, okay, she's going to help me with this, and I broke down. I just said, I can't believe this is happening to me.
Exactly.
I can't believe this is what I'm looking at, the bruising and the scars and it was so traumatic.
Right.
But I wanted to cry privately away from my children because you do shield those people.
Exactly.
That, the little
That's
people
right.
and your family members, because you don't want them to grieve with you. You don't want them to feel that angst with you.
My dad cried with me and only with me. He didn't do it to my mom. And again, I don't want to break down thinking about it, that he grabbed me and he hugged me so hard and he said, I don't want to die. I don't want this to happen to me. I can't, I'm afraid. And all the things that you, and so, I was there for him. And it's so hard because of the fear, the unknown. But let's talk about, you're in remission. You've got the best news you've heard in a long time.
Good news, yeah.
Did you make, you know what? I'm going to do things differently going forward.
I did that prior to even hearing that. I did because probably 6 months into it, as soon as my last chemo treatment ended and I had surgery, the moment I could drive, I went to visit family in Ocala. I couldn't wait. My grandfather was ill, and I was able to spend the last 3 days with him. And that was important to me because it was tough. It was really tough. And I had missed out on months with family and doing things that were important to me.
Simple things
that we take for granted, right?
Yeah.
And I did. I just said, you know what? Nope. I am from now on. It is. I'm taking an hour for myself every day. And I call it my power hour. You'll see me, I post about it because it is. And it doesn't matter if it's a walk on the beach or, taking a hike somewhere or fishing or whatever
you have
it
to
is.
Do it. You post some great stuff. You do. You
take
go hiking.
That for yourself.
I see you fishing.
I'm
you
doing
have your
all
Gators
the things.
shirt and everything. You go to the swampland.
I do. I'm always at the. Well, that was
game.
the first thing I did. Was I said I'm getting a ticket.
Yeah.
And it was a last minute, November game against South Carolina. And I said, you know what, I'm getting a ticket. I don't care.
Gone.
And I sat right down there. And it was a whole bunch of South Carolina Gamecocks that I was surrounded by. Let me tell you, we're still friends to this day. They were amazing.
Great. That's awesome.
And that was fine. But that was the very first thing. I said, I'm not going to let this hold me back. I'm going to push myself to go do these things, regardless.
That's got to be one of the things that as you go through this, your norm is thrown out the window.
Mm-hmm.
So for you to get back to the norm was like, oh, thank you, God.
Right.
Now let me embrace this even more.
That's it.
We talked about it in my office. That's kind of where, even though it's a different thing, that's kind of where people are with this COVID thing.
Mm-hmm.
We're so punch drunk and trying to get back to normalcy somehow, some way. And like COVID, I bet you found a lot of misinformation with cancer because, there's people that tout they have a cure and they raise this hope. And that's got to be frustrating with itself. Well, who do I listen to? Do I listen to my doctor? Do I do my own research? And because there is a lot of, misinformation out there and you can only stay positive for so long.
Right. Well, I think you just have to have a healthy dose of sensibility with things. I mean, yes, it's great to get on the internet and it's great to look and do your research that way. But I think having good dialogue with providers that you trust is paramount. And if it means getting a second opinion, I just happened to get extremely lucky with the first one that I chose. And that was my experience. But using some sensibility, modifying your diet, your exercise, whatever it is, but trying to be healthy on the inside, really doing a little soul searching and thinking not just about the factors that you can't control and can't change, but what you can change. And you can take some time for yourself and to get up in the morning and have a little clarity if it means taking some quiet time and saying, okay, I need to have this, or I need a little space. I'm just going to sit quietly over here, or I'm going to go take a drive, or I'm going to go sit down at the beach. We're very blessed in Florida because we have,
my God, yes.
we just, our backyard is, it's paradise. So
I was just telling someone this, that in this area here, within 25 miles, you can go to the beach. You can go hiking. There are parks. You can go golfing. So many things. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering, when you were going through this, were there any surprises that you didn't expect, which were actually good when you were going through? Like, you're like, oh, that went better, or I'm surprised that went so well, or were there any? I know you had the negative surprises. Were there anything positive during this whole ordeal that you found out either about yourself or the process?
I would say just, we're so consumed with what's on social media. We're so consumed with that. I think just the relationships, the genuine relationships that I made through the process, whether it was sitting in the office getting infused, or talking to people, when I would go into, there's a shop that if anyone needs any prosthetic, enhancements, or it's called Secretly Yours, but all of that if anybody's struggling and they need,
Yes.
because it's a very sensitive subject, but for women, it's a very delicate subject. And when you go through surgical procedures and whatnot, you may need a little help and assistance there. But how humbling it was to go in and see other women in this same setting, struggling with the same issues, some far worse than my situation. And it just makes you think how grateful you can be with either your support system or what's available to you, and the friendships, the relationships that you build along the way. I think that was one of the things. The gentleman that sat next to me passed away about 1.5 years after. And it was, I struggled with that. I struggled with that because he was just a great individual. His wife is a judge here, and she would come with him and sit through his therapies as well, and then she would leave him and go do some shopping and whatnot. And I guess she figured he was in good hands because we would talk football or hunting, or we knew all the same ranches, all the same places, all along the Treasure Coast because he was also local. And those are the things that matter. It's just taking away that genuine connection.
So it really surprised you in a good way how genuine people were and how giving they were.
People were very receptive and open.
Which my God, I would hope so.
You would hope so, but you would, I think you would be surprised because I work in healthcare, and I feel like we see patients and we do have providers or we have staff sometimes that are a little bit closed off, and maybe we lose that sensitivity and that compassion.
Right, and I think a lot of them in the medical field, what it is, as they have explained to me, they have to desensitize themselves because otherwise it would kill them at the dinner table every night.
Yeah.
And so, they have to do that. But still, if you're the person suffering from something, you want compassion, you want understanding. You don't want someone coldly treating you like a number, like you said with the first one.
With the first one,
and
was
so,
difficult,
none of your kids are going to go to. There are no Gators, right?
I have no Gators. I don't know.
I'm really
got
surprised
one.
you couldn't talk them into going to University of Florida.
They didn't. My oldest is happy over at Rollins. She didn't want a big school, and then my youngest one's a musician, and that's his big thing. So
you couldn't pull the guilt like you owe me or anything.
Nope. Couldn't even. So I have an upcoming Crimson Tide. I don't know how I'm gonna grapple with that.
But you're happy that Nick Saban, this is his last year?
This is it. This is it for Nick Saban. So I may have to go and catch a game while she's up there.
I'm gonna bet that you're a Tim Tebow fan.
I'm a huge Tim Tebow fan, and I think that is probably one of the things that definitely, I think I read every book that Tim Tebow had out.
Yeah.
Shaken came out right about the time that I was diagnosed, and that was one of my reads.
Yeah, most women just say, "Why can't I find my own Tim Tebow?"
I would have been happy.
If
I would have been 20 years, 25 years younger, yeah, I think so. But
how old is he?
He's 30, maybe. 34. I don't know exactly.
He's still popular he is married now, right?
He's married. He's a beautiful wife. They're just an amazing power couple. So couldn't be happier for him. But the days of watching him in the swamp, those were great.
I'm sure.
Great days.
That was a heck of a team. He didn't have to be the fanciest, best quarterback. He basically made sure he didn't lose the game.
It was here.
Yeah.
And I think that was really one of the takeaways. And that's kind of how I navigated and jumped into the whole, I'm going to take this on. It's like, okay, well, you're like a Tim Tebow in the home crowd at Florida, and you go, well, all right, we have Nick Saban coming to town. How am I gonna get through this? And you be prepared. Have your coaches give you the playbook. But you have to execute that.
Are you talking cancer or football?
I'm talking cancer and football.
Okay.
You know me. But
right.
But you have to put your mind in the best possible, place to navigate.
So in your practice now, I know people. Have they slowed down the COVID testing, or is it still pretty?
It is really slowed down. We've gotten back to a lot of urgent care, which is such a welcome.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
yes.
It's so welcomed to see.
It's like people couldn't see their doctors or go to the hospitals because COVID had taken up the space.
Well, we were hours of testing for COVID, and there's still quite a lot of testing, for travel purposes now, and we still do see COVID positive, just not nearly what it was, thankfully.
I
we are
think many
so happy.
have it and don't know it because the strains have gotten, thank God, they're less as lethal and
Right. A little
they're
more watered down.
Watered down
Yeah.
from the original one. But man, I had my friend talk about it, Randy, on Tuesday. It's not going away. For us to think that we can wipe out viruses.
Right.
The other thing that, like, not just myself, we wonder why they haven't cured cancer. They've cured everything else. I don't like to think in conspiracy theories. I somehow believe they could do better and have other treatments besides. But pretty much it's chemo and radiation, right?
Chemo and radiation.
That's all they're doing. It's not like they say, well, we caught it early. Let's try a different diet for 6 months.
Right.
They immediately have to go and cutting it out. That's a terrible term to use, but either shrinking it from and there are no other treatments right now, as we know.
That seems to be the case.
Yeah.
And who knows? When I was talking to the genetic counselor and when I was doing the genetic testing, she said, we don't see any breaks here. We don't see where it's a genetic issue. Environmental, stress related.
Do you think stress causes cancer? I know it ruins a lot of lives. I would like to eradicate my stress.
I would love to think that stress doesn't play a part, but I don't know. I think there's probably something to it. My guess, I suspect that it is certainly environmental, things either we're eating.
I know that I've read
but
more than a few times that we all have cancer cells in our bodies, but they only take and manifest or grow based on factors like how we eat,
right,
where we work, chemicals, and stress has to play a part because when we're stressed out, our body breaks down.
That's it. Well, that's why I told you I was so impressed by Ellen and listening to her, your guest, and I thought, wow, I need more of that in my life.
I
really need to. I might need her number because
Ellen, you have someone who wants to meet with you.
I just might need to.
She is a wonderful lady, deep thinker, Christian lady, loves what she does.
Right.
And yes, we talked about it because it's true. The body, the mind breaks down first, the body follows. And I understand this world is getting so crazy by the nanosecond. I mean, I can only watch so much news because it's a bummer. It really is.
I told you just prior to starting this that a girlfriend and I were talking about it and saying, you know what, we've just kind of disconnected from things because
on social media,
just on television in general, everything. You turn it on and it's
so I
nothing
did notice
but
you don't
negativity.
post as much as you were doing, like say 6 months ago.
I really don't. I've kind of gotten away from it a little bit. I'm still. I enjoy it because I do love to keep up. I have family across the pond. I love to keep up with my family in Scotland and out of the country or out of the state. It's a great way to have that connectivity. And I'm looking at buying a piece of property and starting a little farm. So I'm on there looking at homesteading and all this kind of stuff. I just want to grow my own fruits and vegetables and have a few chickens. Yes. So this is kind of my next plan. So this is what I'm thinking. So I'm on, but I just make sure that what I'm ingesting is good stuff, that it's good for your mental well-being.
Right. And it's so funny because I like social media because I promote my business, I promote my music. I caught up with people that I had not seen in so many years. And a lot of it is funny. But then there's the other side of it that you'll never see me post on someone else's page blatantly disagreeing with whatever they posted.
You don't want to go down that rabbit hole?
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
It's horrible. You see it, you
me,
just go, gosh, what?
I just go, oh, okay, well, maybe they're not having a good day and it's all good.
To each their own.
Exactly.
To each their own, yeah.
So that's kind of like if you don't like something, then just don't pay attention to it.
That's it.
Doesn't mean that you should personally want it to be banned.
That's
and I think too many fall into that latter category.
That's exactly.
Hey, because I don't like a certain type of music, food, whatever, I want it banned. And I am against censorship. We are supposed to be the freest country. Many brave men and women have died for that right.
Amen.
And just tune it out. It's not going to... I wish more would do that. So I can understand why you would want to take a break.
Yeah, just had to take a
from the
little
social media.
breather, and I still enjoy it in small doses.
Yeah.
But just I think like anything else, I think the genuine connections are far more crucial.
Yes.
Yes to promote business, and yes to do these things; those are necessary, and it is a great tool and resource when you're looking for information, as
Yes.
long as you don't get caught up in the cycle
And a lot of
you
it,
know.
I'm telling you, a
So-
lot of my friends do make me laugh, and I get a thrill out of it. But when they start getting too political or angry about certain issues, that's when I'm like, oh boy,
Right. Right.
yeah.
Well, you find yourself, reading everybody's posts in this war that they've created, and
They're
you
going
go,
back and forth, right?
yeah, this is too much. Go to bed already, and relax, please. Go to the beach, and
But you know what it is? It's kind of like they're all Mike Tyson on social media. They would never say it to your face, but
that's
on
exactly.
on social media,
Of
they're like,
course.
crazy. But I again, your story caught my eye some time ago. It was very inspirational. It's a personal thing. Not many people want to share this experience, but I'm hoping that whoever could be in a similar situation will have hope, have direction, and feel better about it, because it's a pretty lousy situation to be in.
And
There's
we'll
no
reach
doubt
out,
about it. Yeah.
and reach out, because there are resources. There are businesses that help with these things that I didn't even know about until kind of getting down the road into
Sure.
my process. And I'm happy to share that. So if you do have, viewers that are, concerned or not sure where to go or just have questions, I'm
She's
so
on
easy
Facebook,
to talk to.
folks.
I am.
It's Julie
Percy
Mayberry.
Yes, maiden name. Yes.
All
so
right, that's a big
That's
name there.
that's a
So-
long that's a long one.
So your kids are just about out of the house.
Yes,
Are
they're.
you going to reinvent your life now, or we've got any?
I don't think I'm reinventing my life. I think I'm just going to explore some areas that
Yeah.
I've always thought about. So, maybe being in North Florida a little bit closer.
I think you do like that up there.
I do like it. I'm up there
yes,
quite a bit.
you're
But
up
I
there
love
fishing,
I
you're
love the
camping.
springs. I enjoy yes, I do. I enjoy kayaking and hiking and all of the trails, and we just, we have a beautiful state.
I
so.
mostly see by yourself. No Mr.
There is no special man.
Okay.
I think that is one thing too. There was a lot of stress that may
Yeah.
have gone along with this, condition. Maybe, I don't know.
Probably.
I don't know.
mean, again,
So-
you have a different outlook when something like this happens, that you don't want to waste time, maybe, or
And that's it. I just kind of move through. I'm very content. I'm very happy with my life
That's
as
good.
it is. I love my children. I love my
Yeah.
family, my friends. That's what's important to me right now.
Yes.
And I'm kind of focused on my next step, maybe things that I didn't have the, maybe wasn't at my forefront a couple of years ago. So
Sure.
I'm just kind of a little honed in on those things, and
Well,
we'll
listen,
see.
you could your next 20 years could be like monumental, like you
Who
never
knows?
thought.
I know, right?
You're in the medical field. Maybe you'll stay in it. Maybe you'll get out of it.
I really don't know.
but
I'm open to anything at this
also
point.
know that your story will help many. I appreciate it that you came on and shared this with my listeners. And I think even so much more of you.
Well, you're very kind, and I thank you for having me on, because it is a serious topic, and
It is.
we're laughing about things, and it's easy to laugh and smile on the
Yeah.
other side of something like that. But there are people available to help navigate and help people through it. So, don't feel alone. I think that's the biggest takeaway. Don't feel
I
alone
think
in this
so,
journey.
yes. Well, maybe I'll see
So-
you at one of my shows in the future. And folks,
Absolutely.
this is going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for listening. Again, you'll find it on most of the podcast channels, and I do have a YouTube channel as well. And it's the weekend.
Yes, Friday. It's April Fool's Day.
It is April
I don't
Fool's.
know. It is
When I
April
put
Fool's,
down
but
the
I
Friday,
don't
I
know.
said, I hope she doesn't think I'm joking that
I
I'm having
know.
her.
Might
But
not.
no, serious subject. Try and laugh, because life is short. Life is hard. It's never been meant to be easy.
That's true.
So you have to have some outlets, either by way of faith, patience, good support groups,
All of the above.
And this is for people who don't have cancer.
It is.
It's just dealing with traffic every day, the news, and the grind of life. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. Maybe she'll come back and give us an update of what she's doing.
Thank you. Thank you
All
for
right.
having me.
Thanks again for listening, folks.